Starting off with Thursday, let's take a look at Wyoming and Akron. First out the gate, Caden Anderson coming in at 6,800. It's an okay price tag. Not too interested. Ben Finley, he's going to start for Akron. This game's got a 50.5 total, 29-point projection for Wyoming, just a shade over 20 for Akron. We're going to have some limited exposure, probably not to either of these two quarterbacks, if I was to guess. Neither one particularly standing out there. Running back-wise, Akron's a full split. I'm probably leaning towards a fade here. I'll take a look at it later in the week, but that's something I'm probably going to end up avoiding. Wyoming, we're going to want a piece of this. So I think that's where it gets interesting. Reports are a little all over the place. Taron Kelman was brought in to be the lead guy, originally coming from Charlotte. I don't know that he'll be the lead guy, though. Sam Scott is going to be in the mix as well. So that's going to be interesting. But there has been some buzz building here for Max White. He came over from Iowa. We'll see what happens. We're going to have to look at reports later in the week. But if Max White ends up getting the run here at 3K, it's going to be impossible to ignore that out of there. Wide receiver-wise, it's not even going to be a wide receiver that's the top target for Wyoming. It's going to be John Michael Schoenberg. He is absolutely disgusting. He can put up these 5 for 137 lines and with no issue. 6,500, steep price to pay there. I was hoping he would stand out a little bit more. Not certain on who else will fill out the starting rotation here or if they'll be viable. Should be Sargent and Durr. They're the two guys returning from last year. And then I need to do some research on Akron a little bit more. Alex Adams is returning from injury. He was previously their top option out there, but there's going to be some other guys. I think Polk I saw mentioned a little bit. So it could be an interesting situation there with those Akron wideouts, maybe to take a shot here or there. All right, let's look at East Carolina and NC State. This game has the highest total on the slate at 60.5. 36-point projection for NC State. They're a team that we're going to want to get parts of for sure. And then East Carolina is projected as mid-20s. You're hoping this game shoots out. They played each other in the bowl game last year. There is a reason why these guys are priced so high. Caton Hauser at 9,700. I prefer CJ Bailey at 9,500. Let's see what Bailey did in the bowl game here. So bowl game, he had 22.6. Not great, not terrible. 24 yards rushing. I think he's got more rushing upside than that. I think Hauser just destroyed them in this bowl game. Yeah. So 24 points. Still not 3X. No touchdowns. He ran the ball well, though. So that's where it's going to get interesting. Those guys are priced a little bit more than I was hoping for, but we'll see what happens there. Running back-wise, Hollywood Smothers is the clear top option for NC State. I can see 7K. It just feels a little pricey. I was hoping he was in the mid-low sixes. Somebody's going to stand out here in a bit. London Montgomery could be the top option. Parker Jenkins, who transferred in from Houston, could also be the top option. Marlon Gunn's going to get a little bit of run, but he's not my favorite. I would prefer to lean towards one of these two being the top option in that backfield. It's a bit of a split, and I don't know that I would really target them. Smothers would be the top option out of that bunch in this game. Wide receiver-wise, Anthony Smith, that is too big of a price tag for him at 74. 72, I would be more interested in Yannick Smith over here. And then Jaquez Petaway at 67. Man, they really priced everybody up. I'm definitely leaning Jolly here, Justin Jolie. So that's going to be the top option in this NC State pass offense. Noah Rogers can probably work his way into the top wide receiver, but the tight end, Jolly, is going to end up being the top option there. He's probably my top option in this game from that standpoint. Currently, pairing Bailey with Jolie is going to be an interesting strategy there. UCF, that is a dumpster fire of a team. They're starting Cam Fancher. I can't believe they are, but they do have a 35.5 point team total, 52.5 over under. Jacksonville State comes in with only a 17 team total. I'm not sure that Cam Fancher can put up 36 points on offense, but maybe the defense can with Scott Frost coming back into town. The fact that he beat out Taven Jackson and Shakuri Brown is telling. Fancher stinks. I don't think I could stomach playing Fancher at 8,300. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure. I'd be much more apt to lean into these running backs, which they are priced beautifully. So 5,500 for Jaden Nixon, $6K for Miles Montgomery. I think both get plenty of run in this game, especially with the spread being what it is. I think they get a ton of run there. Cam Cook, now you're number one at Jacksonville State, backed up by Andrew Paul still. Cam Cook, he was so bad in the Big 12 last year, starts the year with a Big 12 guy. I think we play him later in the season. This is not the spot to run him out here. I think you just lean into these UCF backs at Montgomery and Nixon and play a little bit of each. Potentially. Depends. We'll have to see what the beat writers say later in the week. Wide receiver-wise, I need to do some work on trying to figure out UCF wideouts. I was hoping I was never going to have to touch them because Cam Fancher, but 35.5-point team total, 6-game slate. I'm probably going to have to play with some. So DJ Black, been getting buzz. I think he is an interesting option. He's priced more than I had hoped as well. Man, they really priced up guys. Okay. Rex Steiner and Petway should be your top two options for Jacksonville State with Gavin Wimsatt, the starting quarterback. What is Wimsatt at? 72. That's way too much for Gavin Wimsatt. So Petway at 4,600, I think, is in play there. That's probably it, though. Buffalo against Minnesota. I think Buffalo is a contender to win the MAC. I really like them. They only have a 13-point team total. I think they go over that in this game. 31.5 for Minnesota, 44.5 over-under on the game. Minnesota's interesting. They're starting a freshman. Oh, he's a redshirt freshman quarterback, Drake Lindsey, taking over for Max Brosmer after he backed him up last year. That's a nice price on Lindsey at 6,100. Taquan Roberson at 6,600. No shot in the world I'm playing that. And this was the question I needed answered. So Darius Taylor is a stud. He's the best player on the slate. 9K is a hefty price tag to play, especially with this spread. I mean, he could easily, though, with that freshman quarterback, score 4 touchdowns, and that's how they get out to that lead. So you're going to have take some shots there. Aljay Henderson, he's going to be a great player this year in the MAC. 6,400 is a little bit more pricey than I would like in this matchup, so he's probably a fade. AJ Turner at 4,600. So given this spread, Turner is an explosive weapon. Just absolutely an explosive weapon. He played for Marshall last year, and he can rip off big plays. Look at these average rush totals right here. 15 yards a carry, 17 yards a carry, 14 yards a carry. He averaged, I believe, 8 yards an attempt last year. So on the season, 11 yards a carry right here, almost 12, 9 yards a carry. He's a guy that I think you can plug in and hope he breaks one off later in this game as it goes on. And he's a good value at 4,600. So that is a guy that stands out to me as somebody that I can play if they want to limit the touches on Taylor early in the season. He's similar to Highshaw and LaShawn Williams we saw over the weekend. You know, I'm not going to get all of these right. We saw that. Look at the Western Kentucky running back, Mavis. Nobody thought he was going to be the starting running back there with Lavelle Wright and George Hart there. So that's going to be where we're going to have to figure things out. Wide receiver-wise in this game, Victor Snow's the very clear top option on Buffalo. I think I would avoid that at 6K. That's a little much. I think Logan Loya is priced a little too high as well. He's more the possession wide receiver. I will take shots on Javon Tracy at 4,500. That is cheap. He just consistently was very good a year ago for Miami of Ohio. But granted, step up in competition, but he is playing a MAC team right here. So if you look, I mean, he was just racking up numbers in the MAC last year. So just consistent double-digit points. He's going to be a value option on this slate in this matchup with Buffalo. So definitely going to take some options there, or some shots. All right, Nebraska, Cincinnati. This is the marquee game on this slate. Raiola is too cheap at $7,500. I can tell you that right now. Sorsby's too expensive at $9,300. I know Nebraska's replacing their defensive coordinator, but they're still going to have a solid defense. Game total 53.5, 30-point total for Nebraska. They're a prime target on this slate, 7,500. Love that. I think Raiola is going to be improved. What's that? Emmett Johnson? Yeah. Emmett Johnson, he's going to be the top guy, top option in this backfield. 7,500. That's a reasonable price tag. Not great, not bad. Evan Pryor and Tyree Walker, I think, are going to end up splitting. So 5,900 and 5,600 is a little much for me in that situation. Wide receiver-wise, Dane Key, he is priced up big time. I might take shot maybe. But Barney's probably a better option at 64. I don't hate that. Nasiah Hunter at 5K. He's probably the third option in that pass offense. Maybe you could take some shots. Cincinnati, Caldwell, big kid, long giraffe style speed here. So long rangy, just runs like the wind too. 5,700. He's probably the top wide receiver in this offense. Joe Royer, 5,600. He's a top option in the pass catching game. Caleb Goody stands out as a decent option at 4K. And Cyrus Allen probably rounds out the starting trio in that sense. They're probably a little bit priced up, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the theme of this is most of the guys priced up pretty well. But yeah, I'm going to want to get – Barney's going to catch a ton of balls. He's going to lead the Nebraska in receptions for sure. Lindenmeyer looks like the starting tight end. So that'll be interesting to see if we need to go there. All right, Miami of Ohio and Wisconsin. Another team in Miami of Ohio that I think goes over this 11-point team total. Not probably my favorite team. I don't know that they can. I think they hold it closer than that. I'm not a big believer in Wisconsin this year. 28.5-point team total for Wisconsin. 39.5 over under in this game. 8K. Probably a little much for Billy Edwards there. Daquan Finn at 7K is way too much. But Billy Edwards is definitely in play. I would prefer Raiola. I know Raiola is not as mobile. Raiola did lose weight, and he should be more mobile this season, though. Apparently, he got rid of a little bit of the pudge he had. Running back-wise, I'm staying away from Miami of Ohio's running backs. They're going to be in play later in the year. Okay, that is our guy right there. So Dylan Jones is going to be a starting running back on this slate. He's getting a ton of buzz in camp. Dupree's going to get run as well. I just think that Jones is going to be the clear top option. 5,700, it's a good price tag to slide him in to this mix. Wide receiver-wise, Vinny Anthony's my top option. I know Kekahuna, he's going to be more of the possession guy, but I think Vinny Anthony is the best play of these wideouts. If you do want to pair up with Billy Edwards, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, given Billy Edwards. He really, Caden Prather and Ty Felton at Maryland, he was able to sustain two quality wide receivers last year. Deion Colsey is one of my top guys for Miami of Ohio as a wide receiver coming in from Notre Dame. And then I am personally a fan, and I think this is a very good price on him, Cole Weaver. So Cole Weaver's getting a ton of buzz. He got hyped by the coaching staff. With this game, you're going to be behind. I know Wisconsin's probably going to try to play keep away here. I think Weaver at 3,300 is a glaring value. He's definitely the best value on the slate as far as I'm concerned at wide receiver so far. And we can see you're probably going to end up playing him a good bit.